James wants to know, where's the crown stand in all of this?
Well, that is a really good question. First of all, there is a separation of powers. It has reneged on them powers. It is now actively operating against the people and against the gospel, which means it has effectively abdicated. Where do I get that from? From the speech of Sir John Somers and Sir John Holt, who were the framers of the English Bill of Rights and the negotiators of the Glorious Revolution with Parliament. They actually said that the deeds of the monarch and what he has actually done, this was in 1689, means that he is abdicated. And both houses of Parliament agreed, right? So that means, if you look at the original contract and the oath that was taken, the Coronation Oath Act, King Charles III has effectively abdicated. But they will never allow me to say this in Parliament unless I'm elected. And I can tell you now, I will stand up and say that the Crown has abdicated, right? So people need to understand there are constitutional laws that protect us. And let me just say this to everyone. In the past, we've had good kings, and in the past, we've had bad kings. We have got a bad, very bad king, right? No different to the ones on some occasions were dealt with.
So next question, the likes of Larkin Rose, who advocates that voting is a waste of time, stop feeding the beast. Is he paid opposition? Is his agenda a psyop?
Absolutely. So anyone who doesn't vote, you are betraying not only your ancestors who fought and died for your vote, the people at Peterloo, for example. You are betraying everyone that stood for you, right? That have got you the right to vote and then betrayed it. Women didn't even have the right to vote until, I think, 1924, right? And yet now they're telling people, don't vote. You've also got to remember that parties like me and independents that stand pay £500. You are slapping the faces of disabled people, of pensioners, of people without a voice when you don't vote. You are slapping them people who have donated to get you onto the ballot, right? And those people that say that should be ashamed of themselves.
So Tracy wants to know, Graham, is it worth it to buy or invest in houses and properties in this country anymore for Airbnbs?
Or houses with money. My direct answer to that is, if you go back 15 years ago, I had £1.5 million worth of assets, 10 grand a month coming in. I actually owned a betting shop. I was quite wealthy, etc., etc. Right now, I've got nothing. I don't want nothing, and the reason I don't want anything is because the current situation, they're going to take everything off you. If we go back to being England, I would gladly invest my time in building the business. I would be, in my opinion, with my knowledge, my skills, and the people I've got around me, a multi-millionaire within a year to 2 years. Can you do that now? No. Are you in a dangerous position in this country if you own property? Yes. Anyone who thinks they made good investments and they've seen their property prices go up, I've got news for you people, right? What you have done is participated, especially if you try to leverage that on its way up. House inflation is a tax, and you have just paid a tax, and you have just stripped the future generation of any chance of ever having a home. Well done.
Do you think freehold land would be better? That's another question that's come in.
Technically, in England, there is no such thing as a freehold, unless it is what's known as fee simple. Fee simple, you've still got that in America. It comes from England and the English common law. Fee simple means you own everything above, right the way up, right, and everything below ground, right? So again, people need to understand the different types of freehold But if I'm terribly honest with you, in 1997, they created something called the Leasehold Act. When they, again, the British, when they passed that act, if you are a freeholder and you lease a property, even to a tenant, short or long term, that tenant has the right to force you to sell the freehold. So freeholders' rights have literally been wrung out by the British, the Marxist communist system.
So Tink wants to know, the Bible is older than the Constitution, and they have cut and edited the Bible. So how can the Constitution stand?
Well, the answer to that is our Constitution is known as God's law. So there are a number of Chief Justices as stated in law that the English common law is God's law and God's law is the English common law. There are certain Christian beliefs, groups out there that actually say the Constitution is God's law, and I agree. It comes from the Ten Commandments as the basis of our Constitution. They've edited the Bible, I agree. There's certain elements of the Bible that are completely corrupt in what they've done. And again, this is not having a go at Christians. This is the church. I believe that as a Christian, the church is the people, right? We, the people, are the church, not a building, not a deity, not deities of different people, etc. So is the Constitution has been edited unlawfully. It's called ultra vires, and the same as the Bible. If you won't go back to the original copies of the Bible and retranslate it, you can get that back. It's called a claim of right. And the same way as Christians can reclaim the original Bible and the original words of Jesus Christ, you can claim the original words of the Constitution.
Should England return colonial artifacts and jewels to the country of origins?
I don't really understand when they say artifacts and jewels. It depends how they was come by. If that is saying that people believe wrongly that we stole all these things from these other groups, I first want them to say. So I'm going to say a few things. First of all, the England gave the world computers. The first actual computer was developed in the 1700s by someone called Charles Babbage. We developed the internet. We developed the first locomotive. We developed all of these inventions and exported them over the world. We developed and exported the English common law and the English language, right? So people who attack England by saying that we stole these things, I want you to do me a favor, the people who are saying that. Rather than use the word England, why don't you see exactly the year we're talking about and see if it was the British rather than the English? And that's the difference, right? So that's all I'll say on that subject. But I can go into detail. I consider that to be partly a nonsense. It is the British that caused most of the problems. The British caused the problems with India. They created Pakistan. They created Iran. They created Saudi Arabia. And here's the kicker, people. They created Israel, right? So when people understand that, and they also understand that voiding the Acts of Union, meaning voiding the British, right? It doesn't exist anymore. You also void, and this is key to this, the Balfour Agreement, the Palestinian Agreement of 1923, and the Partition Agreement of 1948, because the British Parliament was the ones who give it authority. The British Parliament doesn't exist anymore, so it has no authority. It goes back to another group of people, highly likely the United Nations.
So Artax wants to know, is unfettered immigration deliberate to mix up the people and destroy nations and tribes?
Absolutely correct. Very much so. It is. So if you imagine the Acts of Settlement, for example, stated that you could not be a member of Parliament, House of Lords, a judiciary, any position of profit or power, unless you were born of English parents, right? And that's plural. So if you understand that statement, and they removed that, the British removed that, the British have created a situation where foreigners come into the Parliament. The reason why the Act of Settlement originally said that was because foreigners were taking positions and then stripping England of its wealth and of its rights, which is crucially important. And that is exactly what they're doing. So they're getting foreigners coming in who've got no history of this country, don't know our ancient laws, etc. And all they want to do is work in this country, take our money, and then go back to their own nation. They're stripping the wealth from England, which is exactly what's going on.
Well, Graham, this has been absolutely fascinating. You've answered most of the questions. Is there anything you'd like to say in conclusion to the viewers?
Well, in conclusion, I would say this: be proud to be English. England as a nation and the diversity of our shires and counties is what they seek to destroy. So you need to fight against that. And one way of doing that is supporting the English Constitution Party, whose manifesto is the English Constitution. We are completely unique as a political party. We support you as individuals. We air your grievances in Parliament, and we are not afraid to stand up and speak of the white working class English. Finally, you have got representatives that will stand up for you. And I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. We do not dislike the Scots, the Welsh, the Irish, or the Cornish, or the Northern Irish, right? We believe we are a brotherhood of nations, but we should be separated, separately governed. And when people say to me, Graham, we are stronger together, I always say to them, did you know that that is a Marxist slogan from the Soviet Union? And you have just repeated their brainwashing. And they look at me and say, I didn't know that. Well, there you go. So next person that says stronger together, remember Joseph Stalin, remember the Soviets. They were the ones who put that slogan out there, and remember what happened to them, right? Russia is a nation, a strong nation, is an Orthodox Christian nation. They took their country back from the globalists. That's it, and that's what we need to do. So, again, I'm on Twitter. I've been banned on Twitter even last year, funny enough, and all I do is talk about the English Constitution. It's definitely not a freedom of information platform. You can find me on Rumble, which is the Full English Show. Again, you can search for me and find me. But most importantly, on Twitter, I am currently English Exit. So if you remember English and Exit, I'll go out to America. We do seminars as well. So if anyone wants one of our seminars, come and speak to us. And we do seminars. And I literally get all the banners out and I'll show you stuff. I'll go through the law books and everyone goes, wow, I was never taught this. And then I'll tell them why you wasn't taught it, because they hate the English with a vengeance. But that's it. But I am really grateful to you, especially. And if you ever want me to come on and talk about Charles Bronson, who I met while I was in prison, and him actually taking the hostages when I was there, and all of the little stories about what happened there.
We would love that, Graham. Put a one in the chat, viewers, if you want Graham to come back with more stories and more interviews. And Graham, you know, I'm from Widnes, next to Runcorn. What can the people of Runcorn do for you?
The people of Runcorn, so we're on the 26th. We've got another day of action. It's on our website at the moment. We're going to be in Frog March, is it? There's a funny pronunciation of the word. I'm terrible at pronouncing words, right? Which just up the road from Widnes, right? We've got a day of action out there. We have all our boards out, our English flags, vote for England, vote for us, etc. But we've got a lot of support all over the country, and the British hate it. The Labour Party hate it with a vengeance. And let me just say this to your audience, right? Keir Starmer actually said, and I've got it enhanced, right, that he effing hates Liverpool, right? Well, I've got an answer from Liverpool and Runcorn and Helsby, yeah? We effing hate you as well. So if you want to vote for an Englishman, that's all you got to do. And I will gladly come back and explain more of our English laws and our constitution.
Oh, thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it. All Graham's links are in the description box. I'll put them in the live chat as well. Support his work, and we'll get you back. And I'm going to let you go and close the show. And have a great rest of your day, my friend. Take care.